Welcome, everyone. My name is Bryant Miller, and I'll be your host for today. And reason I did this is because I put a post out there the other day, pretty much just doing a couple of steps, business, EIN number, operating agreement, things of that sort. And a lot of people didn't really know what it was. And so I hit up my good friend and business partner that provides my business credit to like, hey, nobody really knows about this. Can you kind of explain it, how to get started, things of that sort? And she said yes, and I was so surprised because she's so busy. Um, and so Miss Garcia right here, she agreed to do a webinar to, of course, train and develop us to get business funding and get the have the knowledge and wherewithal to if we want to start a business or flip houses or whatever the case may be, we can do it and we'll have the funds to do it. Because that's a lot of times what holds us back. May have the knowledge, might just not have the money. So so I'm gonna go ahead and let Miss Garcia introduce herself, and then we're gonna get started.
Well, I want to say thanks everyone for being here today. I know that we're quarantined and we could be doing so many other things, but I really appreciate your presence. And we're about to share with you a lot of great information that is going to help you kind of get a clarity, understanding. And I want this to be open. I don't want it to be like a formal thing. I want people to ask questions and, feel free to engage. My name is Dalle Garcia. Many people know me on Facebook as Kayak Gabar. I do have a Hebrew name. I also wanted to let people know that I have been in the credit repair business and business credit building business for a very long time, for almost 20 years. I know that many people are just starting to learn business credit, but this has been going on for a while. They just have been exposing more information to the average, small business owner, which is great because this information has been going on for forever, since banking has been in existence. So my company is called Gold Crown Credit. We help people with restoration of their personal credit. And we wanted to focus mostly on business credit here because we deal with a lot of business owners, and it's very important to understand how to maximize and how to benefit from having a business so that you're able to cover your expenses and not have to come out of your own personal pocket. So do you have any questions that you want to start off with, Brian, or does anyone else, do you want to let the floor people to start asking questions? How do you want to?
I will, so we're about to go into that right now. So just a few housekeeping rules. Make sure you get if you don't have it, grab a pen and paper for some notes. All for the purpose of this call, so everybody won't talk at one time. All questions or everybody will be muted. And then if a question should arise, I have a couple of general questions, and then we can kind of just flow from there. Like I said, it's not really scripted or anything. We just got some key points that we'll talk about, and then we're gonna leave it to you guys to ask any questions that you may have to get the floor of things. And then definitely at the end of everything, we will, we'll take you out one by one if you have any additional questions, and then we will go from there. So let's have some fun and get some of these gems.
Absolutely. So yes, grab your pen and papers, like Brian said. The information, some information you may know, some information you're gonna be like, wow, okay. So while you have your pens and pads ready, most of us here, I'm assuming, are business owners or entrepreneurs or people that are looking to start their business. And the first step before I tell people, even if you're in business, I always ask, what is your paperwork looking like? Because people say, oh yeah, I have a service, I have a product, I'm a real estate investor, I have trucks, it could be any kind of business, but their paperwork seems to not always be on point. And that is the beginning of any type of process with owning your own business, as well as building business credit. So what I mean by that, for example, is when you first start your business, I always associate having a business with having a child. Like, you got to give it a name, right? That's the first step. Like, okay, what am I going to name my company? What am I providing? Am I providing a service? Am I providing a good? So these businesses are going to need a name. So it's like having a baby. You're going to have to give it a name, and that name goes a long way because that name is going to be your entity. It's going to be your LLC, your limited liability company, or your corporation. Okay, so some people operate as a sole proprietorship, and it's very important that you guys also do some research about the differences between the entities and how they apply to you and your business, as well as with the IRS. So I don't want to go quickly, and I want to make sure that we're all on the same page, but it's very important that you decide what kind of company are you going to have. Is it going to be an LLC? Is it going to be a corporation? Is it going to be a nonprofit? And this is how you begin. When you begin with the entity name, you have to go wherever state you live in, we're in Atlanta, Georgia now. So in the state of, I'm going to use Georgia as the example because this is where we are. But in Georgia, I'm from New York, by the way, and I'm going to compare the two. In Georgia, when you decide to give your company a name, it's a little bit different than other states, okay? So they first want to see if the name is available. So before you decide, okay, this is going to be my company name, is it available for you to register? Because it may not be. Maybe somebody has taken that name. So you have to take these things into consideration, okay? So you want to make sure that the name is registered. In the state of Georgia, when the name is registered, it take about, I think about a good 2 weeks, 7 to 14 days before they notify you and say, okay, yes, the name is okay, you can have it, it's yours. And then you have 30 days within that time frame to go ahead and, after the name has been registered and it's been approved by the state of Georgia, to say, okay, now I'm going to lock it in as an LLC or a corporation. Do you have any questions on that?
Any questions, anyone, or how so LLC is the first step, of course,
Corporation.
some type of corporation.
Right, that's the first step.
And then
Number one.
I do provide those services as well. If you need corporation, of course you can. I know in Georgia, I've done it. You go on sos.gov and then follow the links for whatever business that you want. But now, it was so time consuming. I just have a company that I go with, and they give you your LLC, an EIN number, and operating agreement.
And what is the name of your company, the company you work with?
It's Legal Shield Action.
Okay, good. So I mentioned that because a lot of people ask me that. They're like, so how do I do this? Usually it's easy for people that are used to doing this on a day-to-day basis. Some people hire, LegalZoom. They have LegalZoom, they have other companies, or you could do it on your own by just visiting the Department of State website in the state that you currently are operating your business in. Right. Okay, so that's the number one. So once that name is registered and you have the approval from the state that says, okay, it's yours. In New York, I was going to mention, is a little bit different. There's no name registration that you have to wait for. It's either there or not. And then if it's there, you can take it. So, it costs like maybe $150, $200. It varies from state to state. So check the Department of State where you are and where you plan to operate. And that's usually where you get all that information. Okay, so that's the first step. That's like the foundation of everything, the name of your business and making sure that it's registered with the state and that you have your operating agreement. And then Brian just mentioned the EIN. Many of you know about the EIN, which is the employer identification number, a taxpayer ID number, which is given to your registration of your business once you've incorporated your company. And that number is it's a 9-digit number, like a social security number, okay? And the EIN is so important because that 9-digit number is an ID that is going to help you get credit. It's going to help you. That EIN number is the identification where you can go online and, no business is a private information. Every business has public information that you can have access to. By even the business credit is public information. A lot of people don't know that. So later on, later down in the years when you have your business, or maybe if you decide you want to sell it later on in the future, building business credit is so critical because that only increases the value of what you're asking for the business if you decide to sell. Okay.
All right. Did anybody have any questions at the moment for business setup Any business setup questions?
I guess everybody looks good. Yeah, I don't want to rush through this. I know we have 1 hour, but I wanted to touch on that because that's so important. And I have a lot of clients that have businesses that don't have any entities. They have an EIN, but they don't have an LLC or corporation attached to that EIN. So I tell people you have to have that together. You can't just have an EIN and not an entity. Or you can't just have an entity and not an EIN. They come together. Once those things are established, then the next step would be getting a Duns and Bradstreet number. You probably heard a DNB number. Okay. Yep. And I can also put it inside the chat so people, in case they don't understand, Duns and Bradstreet.
Now that's free, right? A lot of people say they, I've heard people, they have buy those different things, but that's free, isn't it?
Yeah, that's another thing I'm glad you mentioned, because Duns and Bradstreet, my people, is free. There's no charge with getting a DNB number. But I must advise you that Duns and Bradstreet does have a business credit builder program that they charge thousands of dollars for. So the minute that you start inquiring about obtaining a free DNB number, they're going to come after you, like trying to call you, because your information is going to be on the application for the DNB. So they're going to start calling you, trying to get you to sign up on their program, and kind of like this in a real ambiguous way, try to get you to sign up for the program or have you think that you need that to get the DNB number. So please be aware of that, because that's not necessary. It is free, okay, to get your DNB number.
Okay.
All right. So any questions, feel free to jump in and ask, or Brian too, feel free to ask about anything further about the DNB or anything else that we must incorporate.
I think that's and look like everybody is nice and set up on it.
That's good. So we're gonna move on.
Right. So
all right.
I guess the next step, once you have that proper structure, what would be our next step?
So once you have the Duns and Bradstreet structured and everything's done, now your paperwork is starting to look good. Now your business profile is coming together, because you're like having a baby. You're making sure you have it where it needs to be, and the DNB number in place. Then the next thing would be to make sure that you have a website. Now, it's not necessary to have a website to build business credit, but it's very critical, because the banks, eventually the goal is, at the end of the tunnel, is to have the bank give you funding or to give you some kind of credit, right? So what the bank underwriter is going to do is they're going to look, so you're kind of working backwards. So you're like, wait, they're going to look for what? They're going to see, am I a visible company? Am I online? Do I have any presence? Do they exist? Where are you? So many people have services and businesses. They don't have a website, a contact number. So these lists of information are very critical with establishing your business profile. And that is having a website, having a separate address for your business, okay? And also having a telephone number that's separate from your personal number for your business, okay? Again, those three things are: you're gonna need a website for your business, you're gonna need a contact number for your business. It could be a 1-800 number or a separate number that is not connected to your personal home or your cell phone, okay? And you're going to need a separate address that is going to be not your personal home address, although when we register our companies, more than likely we're going to use our home address to register the business, which is fine. No one said we can't establish business credit or get business funding with using your home address. Some people work from home. However, the issue with that is that most banks are going to look at it like, well, they may want more information. They might red flag you. So a lot of the things we do is we try to set you up so that we minimize the issues you're going to have with the bank. And one of those things is making sure you set up a separate address from your home address for your business. And an example of that would be a virtual address. Okay, so there's so many companies that do virtual addresses. It's going to be a separate expense that you're going to have to pay between $20 and $50 a month, depending on what services you want and where you want this virtual address to be. So that's where you'll get your business mail. That's the address that you're going to use for your business. So we're kind of setting up the profile so that when the banks see your business, even if you don't have a client, Even if you haven't printed out one invoice yet, you're building that profile so that business looks legitimate. So you see how you have to kind of fine tune and cross all your T's and dot all your I's to make sure that your business profile is looking legit. Okay?
Right. So I kind of want to a little bit backtrack. Now, can you use a landing page for a website? Would that suffice?
Absolutely.
Instead
Absolutely.
of
It
buying
doesn't,
like a $1 billion or $1,000 website be made, you can just get a little landing page from.
yeah, you can get a little landing page as long as you have some kind of visibility. The goal is that they're going to go do the research. You apply for something. Well, let's see. Does Bryant Miller real estate company exist? Oh, okay. Yeah, they're a legitimate company. All right. Well, they have a contact number. Oh, and they also have an address. Okay, great. So that looks legitimate. And then once those things come together, then there's more details with that, with the website and the telephone number, meaning like it has to be registered with 411, 411.com. And that's very important too. What was your experience with 411?
411, it was a breeze. We're like, I guess called and they asked a couple of, did I call her? It's been a while, but it was either that or I've been on the website and entered something in. It was like, cool. And I went on by my business.
Yeah, so to go into it a little bit further with 411, you know, when we call 411, that's information. I remember when we used to have the beepers back in the days and you wanted somebody to call you, you'd be like, 411, 411. What's up? What you want? Okay.
Right.
Well, it's the same thing with your business, 411. We're going to go and see, okay, is this number registered with 411? That just makes the bank feel better. Like, okay, they're a legitimate company. They are listed. Now, I must advise, if you're a brand new company with a brand new number, it's going to take some time before you get listed with 411. It doesn't happen overnight. Okay. So there is a process with that. So keep in mind. Okay.
All right.
This is for later. This is for bigger money. You know, we could start small with small business credit. We could start with business credit building, you know, without having to have the 401 so soon. You know, it doesn't have to be like, okay, I need it right away, like the telephone number and the address and stuff like that. That is going to eventually come. But these are the things that you are going to be prepared to be looking at when you're preparing to build yourself and your business to where it needs to be so that you can get the credit you need for your business.
2 questions. You mentioned virtual address. Can you use a PO box as a virtual address?
That's a wonderful question. I get that question all the time. Can we use a PO box? Can I use a UPS address? And no, we do not want you to use a PO box. And this is why. Because the banks frown upon that. It's not, you know, if we could, then we would, but because we try to do everything according to making sure that our profile is what it needs to be so that the bank can say, okay, yeah, they're a great candidate. So PO boxes are frowned upon by banks. So you want to get a virtual address, which has an actual address, and that is not a UPS store.
Okay, good stuff. And then I think we kind of, it's business credit and then it's business funding. This part, we're really talking about building your credit from just the EIN number. And then we're going to get into it's still proper structure. So I guess
Yeah,
still.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So I'm glad you mentioned that because it is proper structure either way you go. So like Brian was mentioning, yes, we have 2 sides to the program. Okay, we have the business funding side, then we have the business credit builder side. Now these 2 sides can work together and they can work separately. So I'm going to start with the business funding side because usually people that have businesses already or maybe are starting their business are looking for funding. And you can get funding even if you're a new business once you've got the profile where it needs to be. So with business funding, we can get you funded within, well, let me rewind. We could get you approved within 48 hours. Okay, so if you call me and say, hey, Dalle, I would like to get funded for my business, we can get you approved within 48 hours and we can get you funded within 7 to 10 business days, which is pretty fast. You know, our underwriting teams are pretty fast. You spoke to them several times. Business funding does not require to have an established business. Like I mentioned, it could be a new business. You could have just registered the company 2 weeks ago or a month ago. and we can still get you business funding. And business funding is based on 3 criteria. Okay. The 3 criteria are, number 1, credit. Of course, credit. So credit is important for business funding because it's going to get you the funding you need ASAP without having an established business. Okay. So your credit score has to be a 680 or higher. All right. So it has to be 680 or higher, and you have to have low utilization. What that means is if you have a high balance on your credit card, all right, and your utilization is over 30%, then more than likely you're going to have to pay that down below 30% before, even if your score is 680, 700, before funding will say, okay, we're going to approve you. So one of the ways that we fund within that time frame is with credit. Now you become a personal guarantor. This is how it works, and it's very lucrative. I have a lot of clients that I fund on credit, whether it's their own credit, their spouse's credit. It could be a third party, a joint venture, a credit investor. It could be any of these people. Okay, any of these people can actually help. Excuse the background. I have my kid walking around. Hold on. Sorry. Hey, you guys be quiet, okay? I'm in the midst of this.
It's live. We're doing this live.
We're quarantining, yeah. So when you have credit 680 FICO or higher, and you have low utilization, now you're in the game. Whether it's you could be the business owner and say, "Wow, but my credit's not that." Then I say, "Okay, don't fret. What about your spouse? What about a family member? Do you have a business partner? Maybe someone has great credit, but believes in your business or wants to join you in becoming an investor with you, and they may not have funds, but if they got good credit, we can use them to help you get the funding you need so that you can move forward. And we do between 25 to 150, $200,000 in business funding, like nothing. And it's unsecured. Okay. Whoever is the personal guarantor, the person that we're using to fund, whether it's the business owner or third party, that debt does not report on their personal credit. It does not. So let's say you're in the middle of buying a home, since you are a real estate broker, and you know how it is when you're doing conventional funding or when you're going to get a mortgage. They're going to look at your credit and say, wait a minute, well, you have pulled your credit so many times. Oh, wait a minute, you have a loan here for a business. That's not going to happen because it's not going to show up on your personal credit, which is a great thing. A lot of our clients love that aspect because they're able to get funding for their business without it having to report as income or debt to income on their credits. Okay. Do you have any questions on that?
I don't want to break it down a little bit. So first off, so you can go to sos.gov, register your business, and then come to you when you get your paperwork back, and then start the business credit process for starters, right?
We could do funding anytime, because remember, we started with the funding. So the funding part, it's not building, but it's kind of like building business credit, but it's not, because remember, when you get the funding, now we have some programs where we have some lenders that will report that debt, not on your personal credit, but if you want to, they can report it on your business credit. Because remember, when you're building business credit, you need trade lines. So if you get the funding first before building the business credit, that funding can go onto your business credit. You see what I'm saying? To help you get the trade lines you need.
Right. Yeah. I'm talking about building the, not building, but doing the business funding. So you can open up a business and then get business funding so much.
Do we have any questions? I don't know. I hope that, people are clear, and if they have any questions on what we're discussing, please feel free to ask, because I know there's a lot of information. And if there's something that you're not clear about, please feel free to ask, because I want you to get the clarity on this.
Let me see.
All right.
If you have any questions, do it in the question and answer box, or the chat is fine as well, whichever one you have any questions.
Yeah. So the business funding side is it can be funded based on credit. So I mentioned that it can also be funded based on collateral. Okay, so if you have collateral, like say, let's say for example, let's say you have a 401k not attached to your employer, or a Roth IRA, some kind of an investment tool that has that's connected to stocks and bonds, and you can show that it has a value to it, we can use that to fund your business as well. Okay, so that's credit or collateral or cash deposits. So it's one of these three. Cash deposits would be like, let's say your credit's not great. You don't have any collateral, but you need the funding, right? So let's say you have been doing business and you have been depositing the monies into your business bank account. So you have statements to show, look, I have income. We can use that also to help you get funding, the cash deposits that you get on your existing business, okay, without having to pull your credit.
We got another question that came in.
Sure.
I'm not clear on how to get the business funding reported as a trade line.
Okay. It said, I'm not clear on how to get the business funding reporting as a trade line. Okay, right. So we work with over 2,000 lenders for business funding. So we make sure that we work with lenders, not only that are flexible with our clients that are business owners, but that also report now that trade line on that funding onto your business credit, not on your personal credit. Even if you're using your personal credit to get the business funding, it can be used to be reported onto your business credit. So now, what are the companies that report business credit? Because that's important. We mentioned the first one on the beginning of the call, which was Duns and Bradstreet, right? Then we have Experian Business, and then we have Equifax. So these are the three that report. And then there's others that report, but these are the main ones that the banks are going to be looking at. So you want to make sure, you got to ask, if you already have business funding, who is it with? And then ask, do you guys report to the business credit bureaus? It's always about communicating with that lender. And then if they do, now if you work with us, we make sure that we get it reported, but if you do it on your own, I would suggest that you communicate with your bank to find out if they do report, and then communicate with the bureaus to get that to kind of synchronize. Okay. All right. Wonderful, Angelique. Thanks for asking.
Any other question? There look like everybody's set up on here for business credit.
Well, that was business funding, but I wanted to, I don't want people to be bored, or I don't want to go on, because there's so much details with this. This is why what we do, we like to hold our hands of our business clients, because it's a lot of information and very small details that go into this that are so important with building the business credit. So let's say you don't have cash deposits to show. Let's say you don't have no good credit. Let's say you don't have collateral. So you're like, well, what do I do? Well, we have the business credit builder side. That's the other side that we were mentioning, that you can eventually get funding for your business, but it's after you build your business credit. So that's a process. It takes some time, because just one vendor, which you're going to use, we usually start with 5 to 7 vendors that are going to give your new business, even if you never had credit, which you've seen Bryant, he has shown some of the cards that he has for his business, and some of the vendors that have given him credit for his business. Okay. Now you don't have to use your social security number to get these vendors to give you credit. And that is the powerful thing. So who are these vendors? Well, these vendors are strategically chosen to help you and your business build the business credit, because not all vendors report to the business credit bureaus. So what is the point of getting a vendor unless that you need the things that the supplies that they offer for your business? Why wouldn't it be great if you can get the supplies and have that vendor report to your business credit bureau, so that it's helping you in 2 ways, not only getting what you need, but also helping you build your business credit? So that's what we do. So we start with 5 to 7 vendors. One of the vendors we start off is Quill. Did you start off with Quill?
Yeah, Quill, and what's the other?
Granger.
I got
Uline.
Stack of paper right there.
So see, I just mentioned 3, right? So we start with 5 to 7. When we get from 5 to 7, now you in the game, because now you got the vendors that are going to help you build yourself up. Your business EIN number, which is like a social, you're building it up, right? You're building it up. Then you add those vendors in. Now you got to wait, because those vendors they don't report right away. Some vendors take, and I'm sure you've experienced this, Brian, right? Some vendors take 60 days. Some vendors takes 90 days. You probably heard it's called net 30, net 60. Some of them take certain amount of time before you see it reporting on the business credit. So this is a process. So no, you're not going to get funding overnight. You may get a little frustrated with the process, but this is a goal you're trying to reach. You're trying to go from here to here. The goal is to eventually get 17 to 18 trade lines reporting on your business credit. So guess what? You could go to any lender, any bank, American Express, and get any kind of a credit card eventually without using your social, just on your EIN business credit, which is called the Paydex score, which is what we kind of like familiar with FICO on a personal side. On the business side is a Paydex score, and it has to be 80 or higher, 82 or higher to be in the game, to be able to get the kind of funding you want and need for your business in the thousands. I'm talking about large money, not small money. All right, we got a question in the chat.
Yeah, so what does it cost if I wanted to work through your company to get funded?
Okay, and that's a great question. We don't now, during this whole COVID, we used to charge a small application fee to get people to see if they are qualified for funding. We have a waiver now since the COVID started. So it's not going to cost you anything to see if you get funding. We send out some questions to you on your email address. You answer the questions, and then we submit it to funding. And then the ball starts rolling. And they tell us, okay, they're approved for XYZ. They may ask you for some questions. If you decide to do funding with your credit, we don't do a hard pull. We won't say, hey, pull your credit. Let us pull your credit at that moment. We would normally tell you to go and sign up with creditchecktotal.com or identityiq.com, which are reputable monitoring credit services where we can get the FICO score. And just by having access to that would allow us to tell you, okay, this is what you get funding for. So the process is pretty fast and smooth. Okay, Tyrone?
Good stuff.
All right. So I know I went pretty fast. Any other questions or anything you want me to go over, Brian, regarding what we discussed regarding credit building?
Just that's the foundation. We went over business funding, business credit, the different ways. I guess I can share some of my experiences on the different types of funding that I got and the different ways I got it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
People could. Another question. Oh, I see that.
We have a portal. So also I wanted to tell you, we have a portal. So when you decide to sign up with us with Gold Crown Credit, we give you access to a portal. All right. We have a username, a password. It's very modern and user friendly. We have a team, so you're not by yourself. Okay. They're going to be calling you like, hey, Brian, did you contact, the state? Did you make sure you contacted Duns and Bradstreet? Did you do this? And, we're going to be on you because we want to see you succeed. Someone said, Grady, where can I get a list of vendors for credit building be found? Well, because you were part of this forum, the gift that we're giving you guys is giving you a list of vendors. It's not going to be the whole list, but it's going to be a good startup list where you can start working on building your own credit if you want to. And I also published the ebook that I'm going to share with the panel here today. But I wanted to surprise you guys with that today. Oh. So everyone that's here, Brian is going to give me the list, and I'm going to make sure that you guys get a copy of that.
Good stuff. Thank you for that. Some info straight.
My pleasure.
That's a good point. So yeah, as far as the business credit side, building it from the ground up. First of all, you go through this portal, and it's just a list of vendors you go through, and like.
Find it easy? Do you find it user friendly? The portal
very user friendly. They always call in to follow up, saying, hey, have you, did X, Y, and Z yet? And it's very awesome. I think I'm in the fourth tier now. So
you are? That's great. Congratulations. I know it's a process though, right? But
oh yeah, it's a process. It's a slow game, but I think I could apply for that Audi soon. my
What?
business.
Okay, okay. Because you go from vendor credit, like I mentioned, from the 5 to 7 vendors, and then you can go into revolving credit and store credit, like Amazon, Apple. Eventually you'll be getting to that point without using your social. I mean, how powerful is that? That you'll be able to use your business EIN to get the credit you need, and lenders are going to give businesses more money than they are going to give a person. So you're better off getting credit through a business than you are as a person, because then you have a higher available credit to work with.
Indeed. It's pretty.
And what about the so also in the portal, the links that we have on the portal, you'll notice there's going to be links to Duns and Bradstreet. There's going to be links to, we also provide resources. There's a lot of information in there, resources and information to learn. The resources would be like if you need a virtual office, or if you need to help with website and you don't know how to do it on your own, we also can help you with those resources. They're not our companies, but they're people that we've worked with other businesses. And if you wanted to tap into those resources, you also have access to that.
Literally hold your hand, you walk through the whole process. Like, do this.
Exactly. So go ahead, tell me more about your experiences. So you started with the small vendors, right?
Yep, started with small vendors. Just followed the process, set up everything. Because even though I did have a business set up, I still didn't have everything. I guess to start building a business credit. Because actually, I tried before by myself, using something else, but I never got past like the second or third round.
Right.
They wanted like a personal guarantee, and I was like, well,
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. So
right.
This is why, and I don't discourage about doing it yourself, because we all start like that, learning on our own, but there's so many details to this. It's going to take you longer to try to get to the finish line on your own than if you just hire someone that can help you get there. Like, I know, Brian, you in 1 year, you've come so long. I think it's not even a year yet. You've come far.
Yeah. And I got busy. So at one point in time, I couldn't really, focus on it. But when I got back that time, I just went right back through the portal, and they still kept calling me like, hey, did you do this? Like, customer service is crazy. But
that's good. We like that.
Yeah. Crazy as in a good way. Just in case people. But yeah, keep on going. As far as the next steps, they would call, follow up. Hey, did this hit your account yet? Now you can move to the next step.
So you get the guidance you need. You're not by yourself, because really, since I started helping businesses, which is like a long time now, so many vendors have come and go. Some vendors stop reporting. So how do you know which vendor is going to report? Then you're just wasting your time if you're applying for vendors just to apply and they're not helping you. So there's a strategy to this, and that strategy is critical to your success. Now, and you can do this over and over. Like I tell clients, even if you sign up with me and you did this with your company, right? You can open up another business and repeat and do the same thing. You don't have to keep working with me, but it's all a learning curve, which is going to help you get ahead of the game, so that you're like, oh, okay, now I understand, I comprehend how this works,
Indeed.
Any questions? Come on, guys. I know you guys have some questions.
I can hear us. Put a thumbs up. If you get
Yeah.
put a thumbs
Are you guys
up.
still breathing over there?
I don't know.
Well, I'm here. I saw that Tyrone sent me this email. I'd be more than happy to send. And then Brian is going to make sure that I send you guys that were present a copy of my ebook for free, which is online for sale, and also a list of vendors. Not a long list. It's going to be a short list, but it's going to be a list. Okay.
All right. Now, I guess we touched on it a little bit. What are some of the fun, when you get this business funding, what can you do with it?
Oh my God, it's amazing. Like business funding, even for my own business, and other, I so much, like as a real estate investor, especially when you're trying to jump into a deal where it's multifamily or maybe commercial, where it requires at least 20 or 30% down, or you're joining another group of investors, you got to come with some skin in the game. So a good way to come with some skin in the game without having to go get and applying for a mortgage or a home equity line of credit if you're a homeowner would be to get business funding, and it's not going to report on your credit. It's unsecured. You'll be able to pull that money out to use it and apply it to purchasing or getting into the investment that you're trying to get into, that had you not had the access to the funds, you probably would not be able to have the opportunity to jump into. So we help people that are truck drivers. I learned so much about the trucking business from the clients that I had, because I didn't really know much about trucking, but they came to me as truck drivers and they wanted to own their own businesses, their own trucks. And I started to help them. I said, okay. And we started doing that, got them funded. And guess what? They got their first truck, their first fleet. It's good to see my clients get from here to there. And I love to see them succeed and grow. I have so many from different hairstylists, people that do lashes, eyelashes to hair. I have all kinds of businesses. E-commerce is a huge one. People that invest in Forex or crypto, we have a huge lending for people that want to be into the CBD or the cannabis business. I know that's considered high risk. We have lenders that focus on those type of businesses too.
Pretty much you can find anything, whatever your business endeavors are. Of course, I do mine in real estate. I actually bought a house with the amount of funding that I got. But
oh yeah, what you got?
But yeah, so you can fund this for anything. So whatever your business or niche is, I'm not sure. I see a lot of real estate people on, but if you're in insurance or whatever business you have, you can use it for it. It's yours.
And I see a question, Angelique. She said, is business funding revolving credit? It can be, because we can fund based on credit cards. We can fund based on a line of credit. So there's several ways that we can fund. Yeah, and you only pay interest on the amount that is used, not what you get. So that's also another positive aspect of the funding.
The cards that I ended up getting was 0% for like the first 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
I guess is it dependent on credit or something, or they typically always like that?
And the cool thing about it is that I have clients that had taken some of their personal debts and transferred into the business 0% and was able to save money on interest like that. There's no restriction. No one's going to be monitoring how you use your business funding. So you can use it how you like. I always encourage people to use their funding to invest so that they can get a higher return on their investment.
Yeah, you definitely, if you are looking to get into a house, since the business credit is not attached to your name unless you default or whatever, you can transfer some of your credit to that to high utilization too.
Yeah, there's so many things you can do if you want to build your children's credit, and you want to, instead of, how some people, like I in my household, we're all about legacy and wealth and talking about stuff like that. Like we're not into TV like that, but it's important for us to come together. So I'm always teaching, like, okay, so this is where we are. And like my son, he's 10, he'll be 11 next month, but he's already got the mentality and the things that I've been showing him, building his business credit, because he has his own business that I've been working on. So even if it's not active and there's no invoices or clients, I have a business bank account. I built the business credit for his business, and I'm paying him a salary to him from that business credit, that business that we created for him. So that when he's 18, remember he's 10, in 8 years, okay, he's going to be in a better place. He can go to any bank and get millions of dollars of loans, if he needs to, so that he's able to play the game. So that's the mentality that I want people to start opening their minds up, so that they can start preparing themselves and their family legacy, so that you don't have to be like, oh wow, he's 16 or 18. Where am I going to get money for them to go to school, or they want to start a business? No, you start now, okay, preparing for that. And you have access to funds, as well as, of course, if you have life insurance and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you really, like, there's no age limit to business, to opening up a business, is it?
Well, he can be, you see, because there's different ways of thinking, because I could be the managing member under the LLC, and he can be a member. He can be a member. Yeah. He just can't manage it until he's an adult.
and then you just take you off.
And then we move it around. Yeah. So, there's so many things you can do. I mean, the key is to be able to start working on things and don't wait, because timing is what's going to help you get to the next step. Okay. It's going to help you get the paydex score you need for your business. Now, let's say you have your business and you've done this and you've successfully built the business credit for that business. Now you have another one and you do the same thing in another one. Let's say you do 4 and 5, you have 5 different entities that you can actually get funding for. I mean, you can get 100,000 easy for one. That's 500 grand that you never had to begin with, that you can't go and get from any bank, because not a conventional bank is going to make you go through hoops to get that kind of money. But that's a great way to leverage, to get money, to be able to reinvest and make some bigger money. You got to learn how to play this game. So please feel free to ask questions. I'm so happy to be here. I'm glad that you guys are here. Anything else that you may want me to add, Brian? Or I want to also leave my information too if they're interested in asking questions. Or
yeah. So if I have a question, so that you kind of went into the leverage part, as far as, can you do multiple ones at one time?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And let's say you get funded today, and in 6 months, you've already paid that back, or you're in good standing. You're building a relationship with a bank. They're going to come back and say, hey, Brian, you want some more money? You're going to be able to negotiate better terms too, because you already have a relationship. So that's the key, is building the relationship, making sure that you have a good payment record, because building business credit, that's what it's all about. You buying something from one of those vendors and paying it right back right away. That's what that is. That's it. There's no science to this except that you buy something from them, from Uline. Okay, I order this, let me pay it right away. And that's it. That's what building business credit is about. And then you wait till that vendor is reported onto the, into the Business Credit Bureau. And then we're there as a team to help you. So if we see that they're not reporting, we're going to get on it ASAP. Somebody said, oh, Angelique, if you have multiple LLCs, can they use the same virtual address, phone number, website? I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it. And it's because we want to keep everything separate entity. It's like when you do in real estate, you can have a property in one name, but why would you put the other properties in that same name? If, God forbid, something happens and somebody comes after you, the lawsuit, now you don't have everything tied up under that one entity. Everything's together. You don't want that. What you want is separation, management, overseeing, Excel spreadsheets. What is this performing? What is that performing? Comparison, working on each entity individually. Okay.
That's good.
All right, let's see. Is there a standard interest rate? I love these questions. I get these questions a lot. Thanks for asking that, Jen Villain. The interest rates are pretty standard across the board, only until we submit your file and how it's going to be funded. Because remember, we mentioned 3 ways to fund. We have credit, cash, and collateral. So depending on that, what kind of business, how much money you want. I mean, that's a very broad question. But Brian, from your experience, you said you started with your cards at 0%. For example, right? So that's an example of something that he received. And you can do too. So there is going to be a small fee that the bank charges at the end when you get the funding. I think it's like a 10%, and that's across the board. Yeah. But the interest rates can vary depending on how you get funding, what kind of business, how much money, it varies. But I'll be more than happy to submit your file for funding if you want to investigate what you can get and what the terms are. You don't have to agree to terms. You can just get the terms and say, oh, okay, all right.
Awesome. Were there any other questions? Y'all ready to get some business funding?
Right, come on, guys. She said, is this webinar recorded? I think so, right, Brian? You're recording this?
I am recording it.
Okay, wonderful. So hopefully you can share with them, I guess, after. But yes, anyone that's interested in working with me with GoCron Credit, we'll be more than happy to answer all your questions. You can reach me. I'm going to put that information in the chat, but okay. You can reach me.
I was trying to pull that up now.
Oh, yeah.
Put this on. All right, so yeah, chat probably be faster.
Yeah, let me put it in the chat because I think so too.
Yeah, how do they reach you? How do they follow you? If they want to get started or have any other questions, because I may be able to answer a few,
Yeah,
but it won't be definitely
otherwise
in
doing
detail.
this. Mhm.
She is the expert in that field, and I stay in my lane as far
No,
as.
but you've learned a lot though, because
Oh yeah.
the goal is to be able to learn. You know, I want to teach everyone so that
Okay.
they know what they got to do. But, you know, I'm here to help you through the whole process. You're not by yourself. Okay. And this is my email.
I was listening to a podcast the other day on TD Jackson, pretty much said you have to be exposed to different things and then you start learning and adapting. So at least I was
Absolutely.
exposed to it. So now I can go out and tell other people and they can be exposed to it. And
Well,
eventually,
the scripture says that our people perish for lack of knowledge. So we really have to be in the know, and not only to help ourselves and help our loved ones. I mean, our life depends on it. So I really appreciate you having me here. And if I can help answer questions and help people through their journey with their businesses, that's what I love. Like, that's my passion, to see people succeed and achieve their goals with what they envision. So let me know. I put my information there in the chat. Please save my information. That's my extension, my email, my name. And you can find me on Facebook. I know I have a lot of friends. I think some of them tried to befriend me, but I have like, I'm maxed out. I'm maxed out with friends. If somebody says don't see chat info, huh?
that might be wrong. Let me see. Oh, Grady, that's my guy. I get it to you, Grady. If you don't see it, let's see.
Yeah, and if you have any questions on personal credit too, like, we have a very great program. I mean, this forum right now is not about personal credit, but I want to also talk about that sometime in the near future for anyone that has questions, because some of you may be close to a 680 and want to be able to get business funding based on credit. And that's not real hard to get if you have a plan in place, and we can help you with that as well. So let me know how I can help you get to your goal of obtaining financing that you need.
So yeah, so she does everything in credit. We just decided to talk about business credit today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Next week I got some big things in the work. We might do one next week on personal credit
Oh yeah,
to kind of tie them both in.
that's awesome, man.
I just randomly thought of a thought today, so got some
Good for you.
so a bunch of webinars coming up next week with different people in the real estate niche. So when you get this business funding, you have different things to
Yeah.
um, invest in. And it's going to be people in all different aspects of real estate. So I'm in.
I
Um,
want to create a mastermind group like that, like where we're not only just talking about it, but being about it.
oh yeah,
All that talking stuff, like I'm about like, okay, let's come together and let me help 10 people get $100,000 each.
yeah.
That's $1 million,
You can
and
go,
that's not hard to do. Okay.
go grab some apartments, some Airbnbs. Man, next week, y'all make sure you definitely follow me because we're going to talk about multifamily investing. So all my friends do like a lot of different things. So we're going to be talking about multifamily. We're going to be talking about Airbnbs. We're going to be talking about flipping new construction. We're going to be talking about how to set up businesses properly on the company I use.
Mm-hmm.
This just started off with business credit. So you'd be able to get this money. And if you tell your friend, they tell their friend, everybody get, like she said, about 50 to 20, then we can go get some
Come
multifamily
together.
in another
That's
state.
my goal. Like, I always talk about that because it's easier for us to get to that point. You know, we have contracts in place and agreements in place that can protect you. So there's no fear. The fear is in your own self. So then, you know, everybody wants to do it on their own. Okay, that's not bad. But if you can join a group of the same minded people and we can all get funding, we can put that funding and put it in a big pool to work.
We create our own hedge fund and stimulus check.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm talking about. We have to be more self-sufficient. We do, as a people. But well, I'm here. If anybody has any questions, feel free. It seems like everybody's done for the day. I know it's a lot of details, but if you have something that sticks out and you're not clear, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy. And then Brian, I'm going to send you the information so that you can bless them with the gift that I said
Okay,
I would give them,
great.
just for being a part
Thank
of the forum. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for that and those ones. So definitely, y'all learned something today. Definitely put some thumbs ups or something in the chat. Say thank you if you learned something, got some gems out of it, ready to start getting some funding, whatever the case may be. Just throw some thumbs up in the chat. I'm like, good, good. You learned something.
I just want to let people know that this is not the time to be afraid. You know, this is the
Yeah.
time to jump on stuff because, you know, even though we're in a very uncertainty time, this is time to do things, to make things happen, to build your business, to start working on your business so that you can get what you need when things get, you know, I guess back into action. Yeah. Oh, I appreciate that. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I just saw the response. Thank you, Grady and Ashley and Angelique and Jennifer Lynn. Thank you.
Everybody. So guess we'll call it a wrap. If nobody else has any questions, you have Ms. Garcia's contact information. I will send it to you in an email as well with her free ebook and everything.
And the list of vendors that I have. Yeah.
List of vendors. Okay, so she's giving a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm giving it for free. Like this is pricey, but I'm giving this to you guys for free.
Literally get started tomorrow or as fast as slow as you want to. Make sure, like I said, next week I'm still getting it together, but we're gonna have different speakers talking on different niches in the real estate arena. And everybody that's on, I have done business with or have vetted out. So it's not going. Y'all know me. I don't mess with people that's not good for business. So definitely stay tuned.
Yeah.
It's gonna be major next week. Again, Bryant Miller with Bryant Miller Realty Group. I am a real estate investing coach as well. So if you want to learn more about real estate investing, go to workwithbryant.com. Should be down here in a little link, workwithbryant.com, and we'll get you started on that as well. So no other questions. We definitely thank you. Thank you, Miss Garcia, for blessing us with these gems. And we will
Thank
see
you for having me.
next week. Cool.
Cool. Thanks everyone for being here. We appreciate it. May the Most High Power bless you all.
All right, later.
All right, take care.